Okay, for my 307th book, this couple is attacked by a lamp monster. Ooh.
Book readers, if you're looking for the man responsible for haunting your dreams for the past several decades, chances are it would be Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King. He is without a doubt one of, if not the most, influential writers of the past several decades. While being most famous for his chilling contributions to the horror genre, he has also released a number of acclaimed dramas, including the prison stories Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Hollywood has adapted a large number of his books and short stories for the big screen, and I do mean a large number. There's enough Stephen King movies to fill an entire ocean. Some of them are so shitty they make you want to give up on cinema altogether, while others are genuinely brilliant. With so many iconic creations, it would be a challenge for any actor to bring King's characters to life. As chance would have it, there is a handful of performers who have managed to create iconic versions of certain King characters. In fact, these actors delivered such amazing performances that one would be hard-pressed to read the original books without picturing them. And today, on Round the Clock Frights, we're going to look at the top 8 best cast Stephen King characters. I'm judging these performances on two things: their faithfulness to the source material, and how lasting and unforgettable they really are. This list might split some King fans, but, as the man himself once said, if you intend to write as truthfully as you can, your days as a member of polite society are numbered anyway. Number 8. Fred Gwynne, Pet Sematary. In the original Pet Sematary novel, Dr. Lewis Creed and his family moved to the suburbs in Maine. There they encounter the elderly neighbor Judd Crandall, a kind, knowledgeable native with a thick-as-mud Maine accent. Gwynne's interpretation of Judd was instantly iconic, with his lovable puppy dog face and his way of pronouncing certain words. He becomes sort of a surrogate grandfather to the Creed family, giving them all sorts of advice and looking out for their well-being, and Gwynne captures the kind heart and spirit of Judd to a T. Certain character traits in the novel were left out of the 1989 film, such as Judd's relationship with his wife Norma, and the fact that his mind has been heavily influenced by the spirits of the cemetery. Still, Gwynne's performance is a bright source of light in an otherwise dull movie. Number 7. Carla Gugino, Gerald's Game. Carla Gugino has always been one of those underrated actresses who never got her due. Well, luckily, she was given a chance to show off her acting chops in Gerald's Game, a thriller about a married woman handcuffed to a bed while her husband suffers a heart attack. Quiet and insecure in the beginning, Gugino makes us feel instant sympathy for her character. We sense that there is some sort of tragic backstory involved, and boy howdy are we right. Much of the movie is just watching this woman handcuffed to a bed, so if they didn't cast the right actor, this movie would have been boring as hell. But Gugino is mesmerizing. By the end, she taps into her survival instincts and becomes a stronger, more fierce individual. A truly compelling performance. Number 6. Morgan Freeman, The Shawshank Redemption. We can all thank this 1994 masterpiece for making Morgan Freeman one of the most instantly recognizable narrators in cinema. While this interpretation of Red is a bit of a departure from the source material, Freeman more than makes up for it with his appealing old age wisdom and charisma. Freeman makes us fully believe that this is a man who has become utterly dependent on the prison system. As he says, one can become dependent on prison walls. Red is also one of the greatest best friend characters in movie history, always looking out for Tim Robbins and offering him sage advice. We become wrapped up in his dilemma of not knowing what to do with his life once he is finally released from prison. Some heartbreaking stuff, and Freeman really sells it. Number 5. Christopher Walken, The Dead Zone. In this adaptation of Stephen King's incredibly relevant political commentary, Walken plays a mild-mannered schoolteacher who is suddenly gifted with psychic powers. When he touches someone, he is granted a vision of the horrible deeds they will one day carry out. Of course, when he learns that presidential nominee Martin Sheen will one day start a nuclear war, he decides to assassinate him. Not only is this one of Walken's more understated performances, he goes the extra mile by filling the role with depth and nuance. A reluctant psychic, he only wants to do what is best for humanity. The reason we are on Walken's side when he decides to commit murder is because he really sells the character's desperation to save mankind. In my opinion, Walken's Johnny is one of the more likable Stephen King protagonists because, let's face it, he's extremely relatable, and Walken was truly the right actor to bring him to life. Number 4, Bill Skarsgard, It. I might be signing my own death warrant here, but I find Skarsgard to be an immeasurably better Pennywise the Clown than Tim Curry. Why? Well, I always envisioned the Pennywise character a certain way. When reading the novel, I pictured him as this unnatural clown with a bizarre way of moving and talking, as if it never mastered human behavior. Curry in the miniseries was fine, but I just saw an actor having fun with a creepy bad guy role. I never bought him as this otherworldly creature. He was always too human. I understand Pennywise wants to trick little kids, but in my opinion, there should at least be some indication that this is not a human being. Skarsgård, on the other hand, I fully buy him as this monstrous entity. I don't see an actor, I see Pennywise the dancing clown. With his gangly build and Renaissance-era wardrobe, Skarsgård created a Pennywise that seemed lifted straight from the pages, and I cannot wait to see what this new horror movie icon has in store for the sequel. Number 3, Sissy Spacek, Carrie. Playing the shy, lonely girl you see at every high school, Sissy Spacek actually received an Academy Award nomination for this film. The clever thing about Carrie is that it takes the typical coming-of-age premise and twists it into something exceedingly horrifying, and Spacek portrays the character's awkwardness perfectly. She always looks terrified and hunched over, as if the tiniest bit of contact with the outside world could damage her. Every King fan knows the eventual outcome of this tragic story. It all ends in carnage and bloodshed. But Spacek cleverly plays it like a scared animal who's merely defending itself from predators. Unlike Chloe Grace Moretz, who takes great pleasure in slaughtering others with a smile on her face. Because of Spacek's frightened demeanor, we remain on Carrie's side the whole way through. We feel utterly bad for her, and can understand what drives her to commit such terrible acts. She knew how to play the character without turning her into a complete monster. Number 2, Kathy Bates, Misery. Speaking of complete monsters, here we have every celebrity's worst nightmare. The psychopathic kind who will go to great lengths to make sure her beloved art always meets her standards. What makes Bates so terrifying in this film is that she could switch at any moment. At first, she's gentle and nurturing, but as soon as something upsets her, she transforms into this screaming, maniacal madwoman. To Bates' credit, Annie Wilkes never becomes a cartoonish caricature. She comes across how an unhinged person in real life would, with all the random outbursts intact. King said this was the best casting in any of his movies, however, in my opinion, there is one performance that tops it. Number 1, Michael Clarke Duncan, The Green Mile. I am already tearing up at the thought of Michael Clarke Duncan's portrayal of John Coffey, a gentle giant who is wrongly accused of murder in the South. While no one can deny Bates in Misery was ideal casting, she only had two defining traits: nice and crazy. Not only did Clarke Duncan have to act against type in The Green Mile, he also had to make us believe in a character who could have easily come across as cheesy and stereotypical. But he imbues Coffey with a number of attributes, among them being curiosity, childlike innocence, and the incredible ability to perform miracles. We become so invested in Coffey as a character that we have no choice but to cry when he meets his bittersweet fate. Michael Clarke Duncan was simply astounding in this film, and it's impossible to read the original novel without picturing him as this character. Rest in peace to this much-loved actor. He gave what is, in many people's minds, the greatest performance ever in a Stephen King film. Thank you so much for joining me in my discussion of the top 8 best cast Stephen King characters. Were there any you think should have been included? I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Be sure to subscribe to my channel Round the Clock Frights for more horrific content, and have a scary day, boils and ghouls.
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.